Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, joining us from London is Manuele Piastra. Hey, Manuele, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. And it's great to have you here. Manuele moved to London in 2014, which was, according to him, a life-changing experience. And he gained access to more sources of learning, worked in fast-paced companies with complex technology stacks and ambitious goals, and also through the process developed on open-mindedness, patience, and autonomy, which are, of course, critical for us as Scrum Masters. So, Manuele, that was a short intro. Take a minute, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Yes, so my background is engineering. I'm a software engineer. I've been a developer many years, and but I've always felt that I didn't really, in many places, I didn't really feel that I was working in a team, and that we could have done much more to leverage the potential of the people in the team. So I gradually thought that I wanted to have an influence on the ways of working and the dynamics and the setting of the team. Because of that, I got an opportunity in one of the companies I worked in back in Italy to become a project manager. And it was kind of a disaster because the assumption was if you're a good developer, you'll be a good project manager, which is not true. It's a totally different job. And I felt that I missed many skills doing that. But then in 2008, I believe, I had the Scrum Master training and certificate, and that changed everything. That made me, put me on the path of, okay, I think I can do what I wanted to do before. So have an active role in shaping how the team works, but using Agile. And that's then become, over the years, that become my main career path.
Absolutely. And I can totally relate to that difficulty in transition from being a developer to being a project manager. I myself did that transition, and I experienced how different the perspective is once you're responsible for what is happening. And you try to, of course, because we're engineers, you try to program everybody around you to do the right things. And that's obviously not the right way to go about it. Right. So, of course, as a Scrum Master, you also learned a lot. And today's Monday, so we'll talk about learning, and specifically learning that comes from failure, because we all do. We all fail and need to learn from it. So, Manuele, tell us that story. Walk us through the story, step by step from the beginning, and we'll dive into the details, the insights, and the takeaways later. So, tell us the story first.
Yeah, so, well, there's been many times where things didn't go as I wanted. And in some of these cases, that's just it, right? There was no happy ending apart from the learning. So I have many examples, but the one that springs to mind is with the team, I think about 4 years ago. So software development team in mobile. And really what didn't work is that Scrum is great because it's structured, it tells you what to do, so it helps team. But at the same time, you can do a perfect Scrum just going through the motions. And that's what happened.
So tell us a little bit more how that looked like for you at the time.
Yeah, so going through the motion is first is like, okay, we'll do what we we'll try, and then gradually it becomes okay, do we need to have the retro every 2 weeks, really, every sprint, or can we skip one? We don't have much, right? We're doing fine, and that's one thing. By itself, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? It totally makes sense. But then you have other signals. So oh, could we do the stand up using Slack? There is a Slack bot that does this and that. Um, do we all need to be in the refinement? I mean, actually, the product owner and maybe the business analyst can write the stories, and we just say, oh yeah, we're happy with that. And gradually you go from going through the motion. So you do run the meetings and events, but then without really being there with the heart and understanding the value of that or trying to get the value out of that. Gradually, you find yourself to a diluted version of Scrum
Or
that
even
is
no Scrum at all.
or no Scrum at all, which is not valuable anymore. And
How do you think, like for that particular team, not understanding the context and what was going on, it's hard to assess. But what do you think drove the team to start? Well, at first, as you said, just going through the motion, so kind of accepting Scrum, slowly starting to drop all of the practices. Like what was driving the team in that pattern?
Mhm. Yeah, there's many reasons. In this case, what happened is management or leadership. They hire a Scrum Master and they say to a team, "You're gonna have a Scrum Master." They don't really say, why, what's the vision behind what the company is trying to do with Agile or Scrum. And people, they don't really are left with a choice. So they say, whatever, we'll do that. But then you have some sort of passive and then sometimes active reaction. So the thing is that in this case, Scrum and Agile, they are superimposed to something else, and that something else doesn't go away. So of course the team feels like, oh, this is on top of everything else, right? Why do we have to do? Oh, we have to do this because there's this new person joining, and we've been told that we need to work with them. But then it's a extra burden, extra effort.
So it's almost like you keep on doing everything you did before, plus then you need to do all of the Scrum ceremonies.
Exactly. And so the same managers or whatever who has decided, the sponsors, that they said we're going to work in an agile way, so this Scrum Master is going to join your team. The same people are also asking the team stuff that they used to ask before, and that doesn't change, right? So yes, you're working in Scrum with the Scrum Master, but I want the report every week, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like
Give
that.
me the status report any week. Let's keep the status meetings on Friday afternoon anyway.
Exactly. So then the team that knows, as a Scrum Master joining the team, you don't really know, but the team knows that it's for pretend.
But of course, we're exploring the mistakes we make as Scrum Masters, and in this context, I would like to understand, like from your perspective, what were the things that you did that went wrong? Now we understand the context, we understand why the team would want to drop the practices. How about you? Like, as you were there participating in that process, what do you think went wrong on your side?
Yes, I mean, in this situation, what is wrong is what went wrong is that you fail. Well, you fail to recognize the context, not because most of the time, in that situation for me is the complicity, the complicating factor why you fail to understand the context is that you are given very, very stringent goals, and there is pressure, right? So there is pressure for you need to get them on the path of Scrum. And because of that, you might fail to actually recognize the context deeply. And the next mistake is to kind of take it as they are rejecting Scrum, they are rejected me. And so it becomes a fight, right? It's you trying all your best to show the value of Scrum and yourself, maybe even taking it personally, right? They don't understand, they don't follow. Why are they against me? Why they don't see the truth, right? Uh, and you kind of go in a pattern where the more pressure you put, the more rejection you create. So it's really an
because we are
unpleasant.
pushing on the wrong problems, right? Like we are pushing on the adopt Scrum problem, but the problem the team has is totally different. It might be, I don't even know why this is here, like why you are here. Like we have no idea.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Of course, for us as Scrum Masters, we might, and I'm sure somebody listening to us right now is probably feeling, oh, this sounds familiar. I've been there, or I am there at the moment. So let's discuss what are the things that we can do differently as Scrum Masters to overcome this type of problems. What advice do you have for us, Manuele?
Well, if I in that situation, which I didn't do at that time, in that situation would be really to, stop the show, press the big red button and say, talk to the team and say, okay, I feel that we are not seeing the value here. What are we going to do? And have a really honest conversation, which might even kind of culminate in we don't want this, right? We don't need this. We are not ready for this, or we don't believe in this. But then another conversation needs to happen with the sponsor or the person that hired you. Depending if there's a bit of change here, depending if you're an employee or a contractor. But I would say if you're a contractor, I would take the courage to say, should I really be here? Are you sure that I should be here? Because this is what I've seen. So really challenge the engagement, really, because otherwise you are stuck in a situation where there are expectations on you to bring this change, but the team or the department, whatever, they don't want it and they're not ready for it, and they don't have the support of the leadership either. So maybe it's just my advice would be pull out of there.
Of course, because sometimes it is the best option to just leave, right?
Sometimes,
we can't solve all the problems that we might be facing, and it's safe and even healthy for us to recognize that and jump out and move on to another project.
Absolutely, yeah.
Manuele, that was a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests help their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.